Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Dubs, the Angry Black Conservative. I am your host, Dubs. I want to thank you for joining with me, listening to what I'm going to be talking about. I always thank people for that. I really appreciate the fact that people take some time out of their day to listen to something that this crazy dude is talking about, and so I appreciate that. I have a lot of respect for that, and I thank you. I really do. It means a lot to me. I had some feedback on my last drop. I was very angry. I was very emotional. I was very upset. Uh, when I do these, I try to do them in such a way where you can listen to it with your children. And I may have missed the mark the last time. I I don't like being that uncomposed. Uh, one of my mantras in life is to maintain your composure. And I got pretty close to losing it last time. And that was something. Um, I'm still incredibly angry. I'm still incredibly upset. My heart really goes out to Charlie Kirk and his family, uh, his children, his friends, the people who knew him, the people who worked with him. It's going to be devastating knowing that somebody like that was assassinated. He was taken from us. It's not like he died of cancer. He was taken. And that's a terrible situation. And considering the way he lived his life, he didn't hurt anybody, wasn't doing drugs, wasn't drinking, wasn't cheating on his wife, wasn't screaming and yelling at people, wasn't telling people how horrible they were. He was having conversations. And even the people that he disagreed with, he wasn't telling them that they're going to burn in hell. What he was saying is that maybe their idea was demonic, especially with the abortion situation, which we can get into in another drop. But he was a good man, and he was assassinated for having open dialogue. And for those people on the left who are saying that you got him, you killed the conservative who was actually going out there and trying to talk to you rationally. You didn't go and get the conservative that's kind of a nutbird in the middle of West Virginia who's got his militia ready to roll. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then there's this moral equivalency thing that is being pitched by the left, where the conservatives are just as violent as the left. I understand. I don't understand. How many riots have there been since Charlie was assassinated? How many riots? Uh, uh, Charlie one. I may have to get my calculator for this because I didn't go to college, but I'm pretty sure it's been zero. I think. I'm checking. Yeah, it's been zero. It's been zero. You know, how many buildings were burned down in the name of Charlie Kirk? How many police officers have been hurt or killed in the name of Charlie Kirk? How many businesses have been burned down to the ground in the name of Charlie Kirk? How many police officers and firefighters have been put into dangerous situations in the name of Charlie Kirk? I don't see it. I don't see it. You know what happened to conservatives the day after Charlie died, and we were doing our mourning, and we went to some vigils and stuff like that. Yeah, we went to work the next day. We went to work. That's what we did. We went to work. We mourned. Had to listen to all these people online cheering and gloating over the fact that Charlie Kirk is dead. We're happy he's dead, and we're going to his family next. Okay. Man, did you hear conservatives talking like that when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died? I don't remember that one. Somebody could, shoot me an email or something like that. Let me know. Put it in the comments or something. Let me know. Because I don't remember seeing those stories on MSNBC or CNN or any other, news programs that the left tends to watch, which I still don't understand it. If you've got a person who you're talking to who lies to you or obfuscates or does the lie of omission, doesn't tell you the full story. I don't know why you would continue to trust that individual on anything they say. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't see the person who's constantly lying to you and you say, but this time he's probably telling you the thing. I think this time we can go ahead and leave him, you know. No, that's not happening. And yet, each one of these news organizations has been caught lying to you, not telling you the full story. Doing creative editing, because they know this likes playing with vocabulary and the language. Creative vocabulary to make Christy Nome look like she said something that she didn't say. Or the opposite, you know, doing creative editing to make Kamala look like she said something that she didn't say, or any of the other things to make her look better, because the answer that she gave when you watch the unedited thing was, oh my goodness, you know, taking Joe Rogan and making him look yellowish green when he was arguing about COVID and ivermectin. Lying about ivermectin. It's horse paste. It's a dewormer for horses. Well, that's one of the things that they use it for. The other thing that they use it for is keeping people from dying of parasites to the tune of millions of people, and it getting a Nobel Prize for how good it worked. But no, we can't use ivermectin. So, and I'm not going to relitigate that. I'm just using that as an example. And then you guys go out there and believe that what intelligent person would do that? It makes no sense to me. But you're believing them about Charlie Kirk and how he's a racist and a misogynist and all these other things, and he believes in the patriarchy, which I still can't understand. Can somebody tell me the civilization that was controlled by the matriarchy that is around today? Don't give me the myths. Don't give me stories, anything else. And if you can find one, how long did they survive before they were either obliterated or they adopted a patriarchal system again? History doesn't lie. People do, So I invite you to let me know about that, please. But this whole moral equivalency, I just don't understand it. You've got Charlie Kirk, you've got Rand Paul being beaten almost to death by his neighbor and having to be put in the hospital. You have Steve Scalise getting sick. You have the two people in Minnesota. I'm not going to say their names, but because I want you to do your homework with it. But then they say, well, they were attacked and they were Democrats. Well, yeah, they were attacked. Yes, they were Democrats. Why are they attacked? Well, you got the kicked off with them for getting legislation. And they started enforcing it. The conservatives aren't going to go over there and shoot somebody who just voted some legislation that's beneficial to the conservative side. The person was a left wing nut. And anytime you do one of these deep dives into any of these really, 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 really important and national stories, it's always the left. It's always the left. The summer of love. Double-digit police officers killed. Billions of dollars in property damage. You want to throw January 6th at me? Throw January 6th at me. The only person who died was Ashley Babbitt. She was one of the protesters. No officers were killed. None. None. Even though they keep saying it, five officers died. No, they didn't. No officer died that day. The only person that died was, unfortunately, one of the protesters, Ashley Babbitt, and she was shot and killed by one of the security guards. He shot her point blank range in the face and killed her. You know what January 6th was? January 6th was not this insurrection. People who call it an insurrection, they're just, I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm just going to call them stupid. They haven't looked up the definition of an insurrection, and I don't know how you can have an insurrection of a country that has over 300 million people in it with no weapons. Show me the insurrection. They were not trying to take over the government and replace it with a government of their own. They were not well organized. What they were a group of people who, depending on which side of the Capitol they were in, they were either asked to come in, waived to come in by the security guards, or they did breaking and entering in a federal building. And that's it. That is the extent of it. They did a few $1 million worth of damage to the Capitol. You know, if it was brought to court the way it was supposed to be brought to court, they probably would have gotten 6 months to 12 months, and that would have been it. Most of them wouldn't have served a day. They would have done pre-trial intervention, and they would have been released on their own recognizance, and they would have been fined. And they would have had a misdemeanor on their record, but now it was politicized by the left. That is firing people. Moral equivalency. Gotta be kidding me. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, you did not have a bunch of people that were conservatives going on TikTok and all the other places and saying, we're glad she's dead. You didn't have it. You have it with Charlie Kirk. And then those people are upset that they lost their jobs. Charlie Kirk is dead. No one's being canceled. You have a code of conduct with your job. They don't want Nimrods working for them. Why? Because you're facing the public. And if I recognize that you're a bad person and this is the kind of stuff that you do, I do not want to do business with you. I'll take my business across the street. Thank you very much. Is that the person who was dancing and telling Charlie Kirk's children that they're happy that Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck and that his daughter, upon hearing the shot, thought, "Oh my goodness, the only safe place is my daddy," and so she got up and tried to run to her father, and thank God that she turned around moral equivalency. Meatballs like Destiny on all these things of Piers Morgan and all these other shows and all these other pundits saying that the conservatives are that we've got to get rid of the conservatives, they're the dangerous one. Let me be very, very clear. Conservatives are normally very peaceful people until you continue to push us. When you had a bunch of rainbow wearing, technicolored hair having people years ago saying, we're coming for your children, we're coming for your children. Conservatives thought that's just hyperbole. They don't really mean it. And then we started having the drag shows and the drag show reading hours, and they came for our children. And then conservatives woke up and said, nope, no more of this. You can't do this to my kid. It takes a lot to push conservatives into being active because we're too busy going to work to pay for the taxes that keep a lot of those people having their ability to go out on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock and go march over something absolutely ridiculous. You keep pushing conservatives into a violent situation, eventually we are going to respond with violence. I guarantee you do not want that. All those Antifa guys who were attacking people, and as soon as somebody stood up to them and punched them in the face, they crumbled and cried for their mommies. The left is not prepared for violence. Conservatives do not want to use violence. But if you push us into using violence, we will use lethal violence. There's a mother with her 4 children, and she's trying to go shopping, and she has people in the back of her minivan, and she's going to get surrounded by a group of these nitwits, and she is going to have a gun. And she cannot beat people up because this is not the movies. This is not Hollywood. A 110-pound girl cannot, in real life, beat up 30 guys. And she's going to take out her gun and she's going to shoot somebody. And that person's going to die. And I will not shed a tear for them because that woman has no other choice but to defend herself and her children. She has no idea what that nitwit's intentions are. His intention may be just to yell and scream at her, but his intentions could be worse. She does not have the ability to decide whether or not he's going to just yell at her or whether he's going to grab her or one of her babies. And she's going to shoot him. And then the left is going to come out and they're going to try to put her on trial for murder because she cold-blooded murdered that guy and she said on it. Now she's to leave. She has no idea what that guy's intentions are. None. She has to defend herself. She has to defend her children. It's just that simple. I was threatened a lot this week. I feel sorry for the person who doxes me and sends someone to my home to hurt me or my family. I will use lethal force and I won't think twice about you. Afterwards, I will have a cheesesteak and I'll have a bottle of 7 Up to wash it down. You have put us into a position where we now have to assume that you are going to try and hurt us because that's what you're saying. And with somebody who's got a baseball bat is running around saying he's going to hit me in the head after he's hit 15 other people in the head, I'm going to take him at his word. And I'm going to wait outside the bushes at his house. And when he comes out, I'm going to take care of the problem. He ain't hitting me in the head. I'll take care of it. And that's the position that you've now put conservatives into. You applauded George Floyd, a man with over 20 felonies, a man who had drugs in his system, a man who had the argument is there, but did he abuse the pregnant lady? Did he just put a knife onto her? Did he put his hands on her? I don't care. In some way, shape, or form, he assaulted a pregnant woman. I feel sorry for his family, but I'm not sorry he's gone. There's no equivalency to a George Floyd and Charlie Kirk. None. And I invite anyone to try and prove it to me. And you can have the floor. You can bring all your facts. You can bring as much paperwork with you as you want. There's no moral equivalency. Charlie Kirk was a good man. He didn't hurt anybody. He was trying to make the world better. He was trying to get people to talk. And he was shot in the neck in front of his wife and his daughter, and he's dead. That's what happens. I don't understand it. I do not understand what's going on in this country. I had the opportunity of chatting with a couple guys the other night. We had a really good conversation. And we were talking about politics and we were talking about theology and we had differing opinions. But I had a fantastic time. And I love talking to people who have a different opinion than me because I might learn something. I'm humble about that. I go into a conversation, I may learn something from this person. They may know something that I don't know. And I thought we had a productive conversation, and I enjoyed it. And there was no hate, there was no name calling. We just talked about it and we used our brains. And that's all Charlie was trying to do. Now he's dead. And I've got people on the left and people who know me who are threatening me and my family. People on the left who are threatening people on the right. People going on the TV programs talking about how conservatives need to fear for their lives because we voted for Trump. We have to stop being so divisive. It's the conservatives' fault. The left has been talking about Donald Trump being the misogynist and being a racist and being a man of the patriarchy and being a Nazi and being an existential threat to democracy and being a fascist for 10 years. I have seen no evidence of that. I've seen a lot of evidence from people who are saying what Trump said or what Trump did. And then when I do my homework, thank you, Pop, when I do my homework, I find out that what they're saying to me is not entirely accurate. It wasn't really the complete story. Where'd you get this from? And then they tell me, and it's the MSNBCs and the CNNs of the world. It's never from research that they did. They did the thing. They went on Google or they went on any number of AI things and they show me analysis. And then they do it, and it's a 5-second clip. Completely taken out of context, completely taken in such a way to sell your point. And I said, okay, there's probably 2 or 3 minutes of that. So can we watch the 2 or 3 minutes of it, please? And you watch the 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, that's not what he said. He said this. But again, if you use creative editing, you can have somebody say anything. And don't you think that that's a little dishonest? And don't you think if your worldview is based on dishonesty, that maybe you should kind of change that one a little bit? Maybe you want to get with somebody. Hey, can you please explain this to me? Because I've had people call me and say, hey, Dubs, can you please explain this situation to me? Sure, man, no problem. I'll give you both sides. Here we go. Boom. We go into it. We have a conversation. And you know what? Look up Article 2 of the Constitution. That's the part of the Constitution that tells you about the president and what the president can and can't do. Read that. Let's see if he's within those parameters. He is. Oh, okay, well then he's not a fascist then. He's doing what he was elected to do. Is he following his oath of office? He is. He's following the oath of office? Is he putting Americans first? Is he putting the United States first? Oh, he is. Oh, well, that's not what a fascist would do. That's not what a dictator would do. So, where's the fascism and where's the dictator? And where are these people who are saying that he is that with no proof? Where is that? Because they need somebody to prove it to me. I'm a reasonable man. You give me proof, with the exception of Bigfoot, because Bigfoot is real. But if you give me proof, I'm more than willing to change my mind on stuff. If you're going to yell at me, if you're going to call me a race hater, if you're going to call me an Uncle Tom, I'm probably not going to listen to you. I'm probably not going to listen to you. You know, so I'm gonna leave this with you. I'm gonna leave this with you. Those people who have been fired from their jobs because of what they said about Charlie Kirk, they deserved it. You have a code of conduct. You're responsible for acting a certain way if you're working for somebody. There's a code of conduct that you sign when you go and you start working someplace. And if you are not going to fulfill your end of that code of conduct, then that employer has every right to get rid of you because you are hurting that employer's business. You are putting them in jeopardy. And that goes for any business. You're a cashier at Acme, you take care of the carts at Walmart. You're a CEO of a Fortune 20 company. You have a code of conduct. And a lot of people fall out of it, and those people should be terminated. It's just that simple. I wish you well. And for those of us that are still hurting over Charlie Kirk, before you go to bed, hit your knees to the floor, talk to the big guy a little bit, talk to people that you trust their guidance. We will get through this because we must get through this. We have no choice. We have to continue talking to each other. We have to continue inviting people on the left to having conversation because that is what Charlie would have wanted. But we are allowed to defend ourselves. And those of you on the left who think that you can hurt conservatives, I'm just warning you, we have most of the guns. I hope that we can come together in peace. And I hope that we can come together as rational people and discuss our differences and that no one has to put their hands on any other person. Unfortunately, I do not believe that the left is going to allow us to do that. I hope I'm wrong. Most of the time, I'm right. So I wish you all well. Thanks for listening in. We'll see you soon.